But again, I feel like every time I get excited for a deck, then I regret it because then we see it everywhere. I guess the concern on that front is, does this deck have the potential to be as good as the old Twiz decks or whatever you want to call them?
No.
I guess we'll see that.
Shut that right
Wow,
down.
that was quick. That was a quick answer. Here we go. We're getting into the game though, so let's go ahead and head on over.
I had to go check Twitch real quick just to make sure that we're live and we're not talking to ourselves.
Oh, we're live this time. We are live. Oh yeah, I do that sometimes. And
all right, so we've got not Kennen and Poppy, as I was telling Doza, a few of the Bandle Tree players have gone over to Kennen and Poppy. This is just going to be Fizz Poppy on the side of Kwoth, sort of a standard list here, up against Plunder.
Yeah, and again, something that we're probably going to have to get used to seeing a lot here. Not like we haven't already in the last few months anyways, seen a lot of Plunder, but looks like not much is changing, at least for this tournament anyways. Pretty good start, too, for Brinster on the Plunder side. I mean, we have the Jagged Butcher with the warning shot to get down early as a 3-3, and then right into replenishing that hand, Betty Croker, Black Market Merchant, BMM, as Boulevard's been calling it. And honestly, this is, again, I pointed this out yesterday, this is why this deck is so good. It uses those warning shots and seemingly loses card advantage, but it just gains it right back with cards like Betty Croker and Black Market Merchant.
Triple House Spider, I think you're pretty happy with that, actually.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
One of the really cool things about House Spider is that, if you draw it alongside something like this Bomber Twins, House Spider is the best way to get 4 regions turned on for Buster Shot by turn 3.
Mm-hmm. I always forget that's the activation for Buster Shot. I think is that the only card that gets activated with the multi-regions?
No.
I
feel like there's one more and it's just really bad.
Yeah. Oh, no. I was thinking of, what's the one that summons a 3-1 and a 1-3?
Tenor of Terror? That's just play a created card or slay a unit.
Yeah, yep. So that's not. Okay. Well, maybe we'll get some more of those. But yeah, House Spider, again, that Spiderling does proc the Shadow Isles region there for Bandle Tree, which is quite nice.
Yeah, which means RIP Minions' chances of making it into Bandle Tree anytime soon.
Yep. Rockfall
Path. I think I'm trying to figure out how this countdown is going to play out versus the Monkey Idol killing itself. I think it just misses the Monkey Idol, which is a little unfortunate. But Rockfall Path is actually upper 50% hits on Bomber Twins for sure. There are some stinkers in there.
Yeah, now there is a lot of ways that Brinster could go ahead and try to play around that, but generally speaking, or any deck for that matter, but this deck, I mean, just killing any unit at all is going to feel pretty good on the side of Kwoth. For the same reason why House Spider feels pretty good. Having those chump blockers to slowly deal with this potentially wide board that Brinster is going to come down with is going to be a big deal early on here, because a lot of times this Plunder deck can be the aggressor early on when it has draws like we've already had here with the Jagged Butchers, with the Merchants, with, Betty Crokers. All of a sudden you're 5 wide with a bunch of 2-3 attack units. If your opponent doesn't have a way to deal with those, then it's going to be a rough time. But Kwoth doing a really good job of dealing with the board right now.
Oh, does Kwoth... Okay, I was going to say, does Brinster take this Make It Rain and say, I don't think you have Pokey Stick or Ravenous Flock or Group Shot? It's super risky. We know that it would have paid off, but you never take that kind of play. But I do want to mention that while Kwoth opening the Triple House Spider feels like it should be an extremely effective tool against stopping Plunder procs from coming down from Brinster, the Monkey Idol just completely undoes the wall here.
Yeah, that would be why we have this card in the deck, Boulevard. This thing is an absolute just godsend when it comes to proccing those Plunder effects or getting that level up on the Gangplank, which we do already see in hand as well. So, again, great hand on the side of Brinster. We're going to be able to get Gangplank down pretty early here. Could have gotten it this turn, but we're going to go ahead and potentially get it next turn, I imagine, is what we're aiming for here. Oh, wow.
0 mana Loping Telescope. Wow. Normally you need a Bandle City Mare to do that.
And let's not forget the Celestial we're going to get from it. And that could be pretty impactful.
Yeah. So, bless me. I believe Rockfall Path kills this Monkey Idol, and it doesn't make a monkey. I was going to sneeze again, but I held it in and talked instead. I think I just blew out something in my chest.
That's actually a good question. So yes, I think the Rockfall Path triggers first because that's going to be Kwoth's priority, correct? Yeah. Yep. So there we go. So that is okay. That's going to help. We do still have a way to proc Plunder at some point, although that Fizz does prevent Make It Rain. at least from coming down on the side of Brinster, so we would have to use that warning shot. And those are really good tools later on in the game, too, to proc something like maybe a Sejuani, so a little bit of an advantage there for Kwoth.
And I think Brinster's going to be okay firing off the warning shot here. This doesn't really feel like a matchup where you're playing a defensive Sejuani game plan to stop Kwoth from winning. Now, normally, it certainly can be because there is Poppy in this deck and you can certainly take the go wide approach. But for the most part, I think Brinster's just looking to push through whatever defenses Kwoth puts up with Gangplank, especially because this Bandle tree was developed so early.
You know what this deck back reminds me of on the side of Brinster?
What?
The Pokemon symbol for, like, the ancient Pokemon. What are they
called?
the
Unknown?
Is it the Unknown?
Or
no,
something else?
No, the first one. Like, Jesus. Like, I don't know any of these names of the Pokemon. I really should because they're first generation, too. But they were like the archaeological Pokemon or whatever. Like the Jurassic.
Like Aerodactyl?
Yeah. What are those called again?
The fossil ones, like Kabuto and Omastar?
Yeah. There's all those symbols were like what you had to get in the first game.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
See, to me, it actually gives me more. I really get Breath of the Wild vibes.
Oh, I can see that too. Yeah. Yep. Breath of the Wild. So did you beat that?
Yeah.
Yeah, such a good
My
game.
roommate actually 100%ed it because we looked up the speed run for the 100% Breath of the Wild. It was like 49 hours.
Oh my god. That's crazy.
You got to go get all like 600 Korok seeds and complete like all 200 shrines.
49 hours. Well,
I was like, I kind of want to watch that. So one thing I do want to shout out here, Kwoth not getting down the Flame Chompers does mean that he ran the risk of doubling up on Piltover and Zon coming out of the Bandle tree, and that is exactly what happened as the Daring Poro does come out. But Brinster just looking to take a Gangplank level up here. Not going to get a chance to attack with it, though, because we are setting up the group shot. Priority's going to go back to Kwoth, finish that off with a Scorched Earth.
Yep, so lots of ways to deal with Gangplank in this deck. So the Gangplank is going to level. So any future Gangplanks, which we do have thanks to Dreadway in hand, just wait in there, which we're going into turn 8 as well. So this could be just very simply turn 8, jam Dreadway, get another Gangplank going into turn 9, try again, but we do have 2 more Ravenous Flocks. No other way to damage another Gangplank coming down just yet. But we're also decently healthy. I mean, 14 is not a bad health total to be at, but after this attack, that might change. House Spider, again, another great defense. This is what we mentioned earlier. Again, Brinster, super wide right now. If it wasn't for these House Spiders, we would... Well, I don't know. I mean, you have Mayor. Mayor can get down a lot of cheap units, but I think the House Spider really is crucial in Kwoth's defense plan here.
Yeah, the House Spider does a very good job at mucking up the board against some of these other decks. It's one of the reasons that you'll see a lot of players playing 3, even though, it once you get it down for its region, that's like really the reason that you're playing it. But in situations like this, where the Gangplank's not online, where there's not a powderful explosion coming through and ripping through all your defenses, yeah, the House Spider gets a lot done here. And I hope that Kwoth, finishes off the turn with Daring Poro, gonna take us up to 6 on the Bandle tree. And Doza, I'm starting to wonder whether or not this... if Brinster's going to be able to end the game fast enough. Now, as you had mentioned, Kwoth doesn't currently have an answer for the Dreadway. If Dreadway Gangplank is established, I think that's GG, unless we top deck a Pokey Stick, which gives us the opportunity to flock one of them away.
Yep, Pokey Stick off the top there, going to be very helpful for Kwoth. It's funny, seeing those Trip House Spiders and seeing you mention it too is, or hearing you mention it, it's very reminiscent of the old Draven Ezreal days as well. There's a lot of times that we're playing House Spiders in there for similar reasons. We're seeing.
See, it reminds me of what was it? TF Swain.
Oh, TF Swain as well. Yeah, of course it reminds you of TF Swain. Of course.
To be fair, TF Swain predates Draven Ezreal.
Yeah, he won't admit it, but he still thinks TF Swain is good. Everybody still thinks
it went 0-6 at Worlds, and I will not shut up about that. And this man has the audacity to say, oh, he's a TF Swain fan.
Well, here's that Pokey Stick. Unfortunately, 1 Ravenous Flock, not enough to take out the Dreadway, which is going to be not the greatest here for Kwoth if we have to commit both, but you got to do what you got to do to survive, especially because the Gangplank's coming out. And
ooh, that's a big top deck for Kwoth.
Yes.
So the Gangplank.
What do we got?
The Gangplank's not going to kill you, right?
Oh, my God.
We even hit Equinox
here. Yes.
So the Gangplank's not going to kill you, right? Because you are going to be able to set up a bunch of chump blocks. Yes, Gangplank's going to go through, but assuming that the Dreadway is dead, you're only taking 8 damage on that turn. 9 if we include the Crackshot Corsair. You're not dying to that. And with the Loping Telescope being the top deck, I think what Kwoth is really debating here is taking the Proto-Poro to continue to accelerate this Bandletree victory and potentially just get it on the following turn, because Targon's going to put us at 7. This Proto-Poro is going to put us at 8.
There it is.
We get to play a unit on Brinster's attack turn, and then we get to play a unit on our own turn and win the game. So as it stands, Kwoth, I think, is in the driver's seat. I think they're going to be able to pick this up.
Yeah, and big heads-up decision there from Kwoth, too, to take that Proto-Poro. Like you mentioned, there it is. That's going to be another tick up on that region, and things are looking pretty fine for Kwoth here. Now, you said I would put him at what, 4?
About that, yeah.
About our caster math again. So it's going to depend on the top deck. I'm trying to think of any top decks that might get Brinster out. And you got to remember, too, any damage that's going to come through thanks to the Dreadway is going to get doubled. So, I mean, even a parlay or a warning shot, that's only going to be 2 damage from either one of those. We'll see if those are going to make an impact. But here we go. We are getting 3 damage through here on the side of Kwoth, but not the way that we're trying to win this game.
No, just trying to take some of the trades where they can get it.
See what it is. What do we got off the top?
A nice little cheap Demacia unit as well. And a mini morph.
That ain't it. That ain't it. Mirai Warden ain't it. That's not how we win this game, Boulevard.
Yeah, no, and Kwoth gets a really cheap Demacia unit on top of the fact that we top deck the mini morph. Everything's coming up Kwoth. This one should be signed, sealed, delivered, all wrapped up, unless Kwoth runs Scorched Earth, and that gets nabbed. I am checking. Because I do spy that black market merchant remaining in Brinster's hand. And this Crackshot Corsair is going to proc plunder for the turn.
Is there Scorched Earth being run?
There is one Scorched Earth JDoza.
And it's not been drawn yet.
There's a second tree in Kwoth's hand, but because that's not going to be able to come down this turn, and we're not going to be able to get the unit off of the tree that is already on board, it's going to take a little while for Kwoth. It's going to delay it by a turn, maybe even 2.
Yeah. Oh, man. And not having drawn it so late in the game, there's actually a decent probability that you pull the Scorched Earth. It's still pretty low, but...
It is a 1 in...
It's
16?
It's better than if it was at the beginning of the game is what I'm getting at, Boulevard.
Sure. That's not inaccurate.
So here's the double flock, which we kind of figured was getting set up quite some time ago with that pokey stick. And then a whole 2 damage comes through thanks to
a little bit
charger.
more than that.
Oh, sorry, plus the Crackshot Corsair. So, and the
nice
keg.
Caster math.
So 4. Now my caster math is great.
My caster math was fine. I calculated. I had an abacus.
Yeah, I asked you how much Nexus health. You said about 4, somewhere around there. How many cards left in the deck? I don't know. Something like 20 or so. I don't know.
Okay, so it's 20, but you can't draw champions off of the nab, so I had to subtract those.
Yeah, there you go.
But gets the Bandletree. We are at 9 out of 10. Here comes Silent Shadow Stalker, the 10th region card, and that is just going to be a surrender from Brinster as Kwoth picks up game number 1 with the tree.
Wow, all right. Bandletree still getting it done. Is this the first Bandletree victory we've seen in this OLS?
Yes. I think we saw a tree in someone else's lineup earlier, but either we came into the series late or they didn't get to play it, something along those lines.
Yeah, so Kwoth, though, picking up a tree win. So, and it's funny, Bandletree, another deck that has been sticking around, right, Boulevard? Like, it's by no means like, again, it's by no means like the best deck in the game or anything right now.
Yeah.
But it's always a deck that you have to be concerned about in this meta that we currently have.
I really like Bandletree as a deck. I think it's one of the most fun decks in Runeterra right now. The problem is that it's like, for the last meta especially, it was like the 3rd or 4th best Poppy deck.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, when you're competing against so many other Poppy decks, you're not really high up the food chain right now.
Yeah. So now we're going to get a Plunder Mirror. Something... We got a Lee Mirror, we got a Plunder Mirror. I just want to see Ken and Ezreal do things, man.
All right. Now, we saw this yesterday, and I forget what convoluted way that you phrased this, Boulevard, but it was something like you're the first person to attack second with the Gangplank.
Yeah.
Or attack twice.
If you were the first person to attack a second time with Gangplank,
there we
you
go.
win.
There we go. That makes sense. Yeah, because we were talking about it during that game. It was all right. We had one person get Gangplank on 5, and we figured that would be a pretty big advantage. We see again a similar situation where both players have Gangplank, but in the game that we had seen, both of them also leveled Gangplank by turns 5 and 6 respectively.
Yeah.
This game, I'm curious to see if that's going to be the case or not. Ooh, we whiff on the Mirai Ward in there too.
Yeah, but we do get the Nexus as well as kill a unit, and I think that's about as good as what Brinster was hoping for. I mean, the other option was you hit all 3 units, in which case you can send in the 4-Condition Croaker. Like, there was no bad Make It Rain hit there for Brinster.
All right.
And I like what you called out earlier. This is very different from the Plunder Mirror that we saw yesterday, in that these Gangplanks are not leveling up for quite a bit, right?
Yeah.
Both players have been haphazard at best in getting their Gangplank procs. We're still at 1 out of 5 for Brinster, 2 out of 5 on the side of Kwoth, not much better. And unless they play Zap Sprayfin, they're not guaranteed to proc this turn.
And we also did not see Sejuani make an impact in that other mirror match. And the fact that Brinster has 2, I mean, this might be different in a sense that it's really just about who draws more champions here.
Given the hand states of both players, I'm inclined to agree.
Yeah. Now, Kwoth does have the Dreadway advantage, I guess. But again, Dreadway only gets you so far. And, Brinster might be able to deal with the Dreadway with these Sejuanis. So we'll see how this pans out here as we get towards probably 7 or 8.
Curious if Kwoth wants to continue pushing their Plunder proc advantage with this warning shot, go to 3 out of 5 while Brinster's still sitting at 1.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta play to your advantages, right? I think being so far ahead, which it only seems like 2, which is not that far, but in a mirror match like this, being 2 level up procs ahead on Gangplank is actually like a huge advantage. So if we can continue that advantage, I think Kwoth wants to do that. The problem is now, though, this turn, we don't have a trigger for it. We also don't necessarily have a get. Or we do on the next turn, thanks to the landmark. Okay. I was going to say we can't go with the Zap Sprayfin because Brinster does have a blocker for it, but is that okay.
Saga Seeker?
We have a Saga Seeker on board with Faded. Let's go.
Yeah, absolutely no way to proc it.
Fury of the North, mister. Okay. We got this.
See, I was going Monster Harpoon. I was like, you can Monster Harpoon your own Saga Seeker and watch it get a little bigger before it dies.
And hey, if there's one matchup where Fury of the North might come in big, it's probably a Plunder Mirror. So, but nope, just gonna get taken down instead. Which does actually put the Zap Sprayfin within Make It Rain territory, which is actually a pretty big deal.
Yeah, I imagine Brinster will probably fire that off post-combat. Maybe wait until the next turn because you got to get your Plunder proc somewhere, right? You're still sitting at 1 out of 5, Brinster. You have the champion advantage, but they're going to be worse than Kwoth, who also still has the Monster Harpoon, which means Kwoth can deal with the first Gangplank that comes down because that's coming down as a 5/5.
Oh yeah.
Ooh, that's a nice nab though.
Oh wow, yeah. 2 Yordle Grifters here. I don't even think we go for the Gangplank yet. Yeah, and Crackshot. We have the next 3 turns basically able to level Gangplank. But we just have to deal with the Sejuani and the Gangplank on the other side of the board first, which is going to be a little bit of an issue.
This is going to level Kwoth's champions. It doesn't matter what Brinster Frostbite's here with their own Sejuani, and actually just not even going to go for the Sedge, just going to take the nab with the reduced cost Black Market Merchant. Understanding that no matter which champion you Frostbite, the other one is attacking the Zap Sprayfin, and the Overwhelm is pushing through a fair amount of damage. But now, with these sort of warning shots established, maybe Brinster can start to play catch up a little bit.
So yeah, I was just gonna say, so we nabbed a warning shot from Brinster's deck in addition to generating one from the Grifter. We have another Grifter in hand. Even though Kwoth is maybe going to level Gangplank and Sejuani first, which I don't even know if that's going to be the case anymore with how many warning shots Brinster has.
Yeah,
I think Brinster has the advantage.
Brinster's kind of closed the gap, right? We're at 3 out of 5 on Brinster, 4 out of 5 on Kwoth, because of course the Scrappy Bomb did detonate at the start of this turn.
Yep.
Brinster's about to tie it up 4-4.
Yep.
Oh, this Make It Rain could be big though. If it hits the Sejuani and activates the Monster Harpoon as well.
Wow.
Yeah. Now Brinster has Fury, if they want to negate that, and I imagine that they will. I think you really want to kill this Gangplank.
Yeah, 100%. I think Fury of the North is the way to go here. And the other, your opponent Sejuani is also damaged as well, so I don't think you're too mad about shuffling the Sejuani back into your deck. But you got to do what you got to do here. Yep, here we go. And this also does get us the proc for the turn, thanks to Crackshot Corsair.
And this is actually, if we use the Fury, this is going to do a decent amount in terms of evening out the life totals, right? Because Kwoth is sitting at 17, Brinster's only at 8. If we commit the Fury, I think that's 6 damage being pushed through at Kwoth this turn.
Yeah. Yep. And that, I think, I mean, if that's not a reason to play Fury, I don't know what is, Boulevard. Yeah, okay, here it is. Because in this matchup, especially this mirror match, I mean, we've always talked, if Plunder's playing against any sort of deck, a Plunder does have the ability to quickly close out from under 10 health. You know, you have warning shots, you have dreadways, can very sneakily all of a sudden do like 8 damage in one turn. So you definitely want to be in that same territory as your opponent if it comes down to it. So I like seeing more damage get pushed there. And now we're going to see, does having more champions here, is that going to help Brinster? But Kwoth on turn 8, we got Dreadway.
I think, so assuming Brinster doesn't whiff Allegiance, he can warning shot to level Sejuani and use a warning shot from the Yordle Grifter to actually frostbite everything. And then the Crackshot Corsair on the next turn will activate Sejuani before everything gets to block, so the Dreadway will be completely negated.
All right. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, the problem with Kwoth playing Dreadway is that is all your mana for the turn, essentially. You don't have any other options.
If you play Betty Croker and you don't hit something great, you're going to regret not playing the Dreadway.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, and you can't play both. You can't play Dreadway and Betty Croker. So, yeah, I don't like going in for the attack before. Yeah, I don't know. That's a tough one because then you just risk because you don't have a proactive Frostbite trigger. So if you go in for this attack,
Crackshot.
Oh, there is Crackshot on there. Okay, yeah, never mind. I thought you were talking about the Crackshot.
It'll freeze free combat. You get to push a fair amount of damage here, but I think Brinster is going to be okay with this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but, that's yeah, you're happy with that. Although 3 health though, Boulevard. I mean, all right, now we play Dreadway. Literally any sort of damage top deck is going to put Kwoth in a position to win the game now.
Potentially, you are still going to have to, like, any damage top deck is only going to be 2 damage. You still do need to make it to a combat phase with this Crackshot Corsair, but that's not hard, right?
No.
Brinster's hand isn't currently threatening this Crackshot in any meaningful way.
Not to mention, by the time you make to that combat, or actually, technically, if we do top deck a warning shot, we could play Gangplank with the keg, and then we just insta win. So
that's true.
Yeah, there's a few different outs for Kwoth here. So, but I imagine Brinster thinking, all right, this is really the only way I'm gonna win if I can. So I might as well take my shot while I have it, and just pray Kwoth doesn't top deck damage. So let's see what we get.
I think Brinster just wins on the open.
Is that to feel the rush? Okay, that's a warning shot if we play it, but yeah, you might be right. Is this just enough damage here?
There's a lot of overwhelm damage coming through off of these champions.
So let's see, that is
-2.
Way too much math for me to do in my head.
I'm just covering the eye. Yeah, -2 currently lined up for Kwoth.
Okay.
Yeah, that just does it.
That's game.
I mean, Dreadway's cool and all, but Gangplank Sejuani's just a little bit cooler.
Yep, that's game. And no warning shot top deck. No opportunity to play Gangplank for the keg. And Brinster going to tie it up here. 1-1 with the Plunder mirror match. Is that what this is going to be reduced to as we get to the top cut? Are we just going to see more Plunder mirror matches, Boulevard? Is this
based on the amount of Plunder amongst the top players? Yes.
Oh,
absolutely. We're just going to see a bunch of Plunder mirrors.
I feel like Plunder... we were having this discussion yesterday. I had mentioned with Draven Scion. I feel like Draven Scion is a big comfort pick. And I know Draven Ez was a big comfort pick for a long time, right? So I feel like Plunder is sort of filling that gap now, really, too. I mean, everybody, it's not necessarily a hard deck to play. There are some intricacies with it, but it just seems like a go-to for a lot of people now.
It's one of the more straightforward decks to play. I think the ceiling on this one is pretty low in terms of like mastering the deck. It's just a matter of like, because you can argue like, oh yeah, the good plunder players know when to warning shot and when not to like play for the Gangplank top deck. And it's like, okay, well, at the
That's
end of the day, you either draw Gangplank or you don't.
yeah, yeah.
You can
That's
play
not.
towards it all you want. If you don't top deck it on 5 when it's
Yep.
not in the opening hand, you played like a monkey, just throwing your warning shots as quickly as you could at everything that moved.
All right. Well, we got Kwoth off to a decent start here. Got the Jagged Butcher, got the Plunder Proc, got a Yordle Grifter that's going to come in handy here, but no turn 3 play really right now. So, going to be awkward here unless we draw something better.
Yeah, and we are getting a chance to see what the Nami Twisted Fate is going to be able to do now. Both of these
Yep.
champions have been nerfed in the past. But I'm happy to see Ballistic Bot return. I always liked
Yep.
Ballistic Bot.
I like it too. I like that card a lot. I remember when it first came out, everybody was clamoring for this card to get nerfed because it seemed like it was so strong. And now, wow, how far we've come.
Yeah.
This thing never gets seen anymore. But
If you see it now, people tend to think like, okay, like this is a troll deck, or like it's another. You pretty much only see this in people that are still trying to make TF work.
yeah, line them up, just nabbed there from the Yordle Grifter. That is a very good pick from Brinster's deck. I'm curious to see how that gets used later. That might be pretty crucial.
And I gotta think that Kwoth is going to be pretty heavily favored in this matchup. If I remember correctly, when we had Zoe Nami, Plunder actually did pretty well into it because Monster Harpoon is so hard for these decks to actually stop. And now you don't even have the Targon protection. The Monster Harpoon is killing Nami.
Yep. Yeah, we already see the Twist of Fate going now. We're going for the draw. We already see the Monster Harpoon in Kwoth's hand, so this Twisted Fate is not long for this world. We could even deal with it this turn if we really wanted to with the warning shot, so... And a lot of damage.
You could also
already.
just line them up, knock them down the Twisted Fate.
Yeah, yeah, that line them up. Like
you don't have to Monster Harpoon it.
Yeah. Hey, I'm just saying we have the option. There's like literally no way this deck ever saves Twisted Fate or Nami. It's just not happening. And that's kind of the whole point of this deck, right? I mean, I know we haven't seen this deck much, but you need them on board to win. No, I mean, if they're taking care of Twisted Fate and Nami, I don't really foresee this deck having an easy time taking a win here. Even if it does manage to go wide with elusives or something, it's just not going to be fun.
Yeah, and we're at 4 out of 9 on the Twisted Fate, but I don't imagine Kwoth is going to let this persist into the next turn, especially if Brinster goes for another pick a card. Yeah.
Yep.
The good news, though, is I think Brinster can just pass from here and see what Kwoth actually wants to commit in order to kill this Twisted Fate. If it is the line 'em up, knock 'em down, we do have the Mystic Shot for the keg. The downside is that there is a parlay follow-up, and Brinster will be out of mana to play a second Twisted Fate at that point.
Yeah. We'll see if we commit it. And, maybe you take that into consideration, right? If you do use this Mystic Shot here, you will then have a damaged Twisted Fate, which is much easier to kill. So it's probably not worth investing in the Mystic Shot. And yeah, that is the route that Brinster goes. We see that other pick a card turn back into a Twisted Fate. And let's see if we can get this one to stick. We'll try again.
You've already got the pick a card resolved for the turn, so you might as well get TF down if you can. Of course, we do know Kwoth has Monster Harpoon if they really want to deal with the Twisted Fate, but I don't think Brinster is going to be too upset about that either. Because it just it makes way for Nami.
Yeah, there's the parlay.
This is going poorly, I feel, for Brinster.
Yes. This is not for us seeing this deck for the very first time, Boulevard. This is not.
I imagine this is not. I mean, the line them up, knock them down, getting nabbed is pretty brutal for Brinster. Normally, it would have taken a much larger commitment on Kwoth's side. Like you would have had to commit the Monster Harpoon to kill that Twisted Fate.
Yep.
And then the second one comes down scotch free, and Kwoth would be out of removal.
All right, go for the Nami instead. We
and
could just it's instantly Monster Harpooned. Oh man, feels bad. And we can't
The good news is your Twisted Fate is now free to come down, but you've got the pick a card already firing off on the next turn. You don't have a lot of draw left in hand for this Twisted Fate.
Well, we got the Rummage.
Yeah, that's not a lot
so far. Yeah, not nowadays.
Ooh. We do find a leveled Nami though as we fall to 3 here.
Yeah, we can play the Coral Creatures as well. So these are actually 2 really good fleeting pickups here. But we're going down really low already.
With how low Brinster has fallen, I'm pretty sure that once the Dreadway comes down, that's just going to be lethal unless Brinster can establish some kind of lethal on the next turn, which with Nami and Fleet Admiral Shelley in hand, I don't think is completely out of the question.
And a burble fish that's going to be 0.
With an iterative improvement.
Yeah. Yeah, here's the Nami. Yeah, and then I imagine Shelly comes down next turn. Let's see if this deck can make the magic happen here. There's really no other removal.
This Coral Creatures might actually be a problem for Brinster in that it's just going to eat a lot of buffs on a unit that is not elusive.
Yeah, it's actually a good point. Did
you miss casting Nami?
I mean, now that I'm seeing it, I don't mind it.
Yeah, me neither. You don't gotta play core with me, Doza.
No, it was Nami. I will say Nami and Twiz were like, oh man, it was. Oh hey, a bunch of elusive units. They all get buffed. You win the game.
Yeah, Fizz is the only time in my life I've ever turned down a cast.
You turned down a cast just because.
Yeah, we started the LRA a week late because I didn't want to cast TF Fizz anymore, and it was like they were starting like 2 days before the balance.
Now the truth comes out. Okay.
And I was like, no, not this week.
Now the truth comes out.
I think it was actually even more Aphelios than TFIz because the Aphelios games just took forever and TFIz was banned most of the time anyway.
Rip Aphelios.
But Aphelios Temple is... Ugh.
I love casting.
You didn't even main deck a WinCon. You both just sat there with 15 Aphelios staring at each other. So many Gravitums.
That was officially the last Targon, the dreadful Targon mirror matches that we know and love. It's the last time that was around.
I didn't mind Plaza mirrors as much. At least they ended in a timely fashion.
All right. Here we go. The iterative train starting here. And like you mentioned, that is going to throw a buff onto the Coral Creatures, unfortunately. There's a jailbait. Okay.
Yeah, worth noting, Kwoth has lethal next turn. With because you're going to go down to 5 from the Monkey Idol this turn. Dreadway +2 warning shots puts you at 1, and then there's a Monkey on field. So Brinster's got to find lethal here and now. And I don't think it's happening, Doza.
I mean, it's hella close. I'll give it to him, right? I mean, we got what 5? Wait, what is it? Is this gonna go on the Burblefish, right? So
this is gonna go on Shelly.
Oh, sorry, Shelly. So 5, 10. We're at 14. I mean, we got close. We really did. I mean, 1 more spell, 2 more spells. We probably would have. We have 2 other spells in hand too. Or actually, no, because one of them would have eventually went on the Coral Creatures. So we need 3 more spells, I think, for that to do it there. But we have them. We just don't have the mana. Here we go. Double warning shot, Dreadway. Gotta love it. And a Yordle Grifter for good measure. Yep. There's no way. Yeah, there's no world where we kill. And even if we kill the Dreadway, then we just chain the warning shots. That's 4 damage. Then we have the 5th on field for the Monkey. So
yeah, you would have to kill Brinster before the Monkey died, which not impossible if you had Twisted Fate and a couple Mystic shots, but we don't. So
get excited
maybe
in this, right?
Brinster goes for Rummage and tries to find the burn.
Is there get excited in Brinster's deck? Do we
know? We can check, but I'm not there.
Stress testing. But
stress testing is nothing. You can't discard it.
After the Rummage, unfortunately.
Yeah, we're just gonna double pick a card. Well, this is the downside, right? Without being Zoe Nami, you don't have Sparklefly, and that means you don't have Lifesteal. Yeah. And a lot of the Zoe Nami matchups were carried by your inability to die. You didn't have to play defense because you could just gain all the life back on an attack.
Yeah, it had I mean, it's kind of what we see with Lee Sin and Kennen right now, you know? They have the ability to stick around turn after turn after turn, even if they don't find Ezreal, they don't find Lee Sin, and in that case, it was if they didn't find, the OTK with the elusive units. They had that sweet lifesteal. Not the case here. We're just going to play the stress testing because why the hell not? We like seeing the animations apparently. And line up the blocks, die to the warning shots. I think that second warning shot is not visible. Bless you.
Thank you.
I think that second one's not visible. So yeah, then there's the sweaty Ezreal emote. Yeah, and there we go. That is going to be GG's. Kwoth picking up game 3 versus Brinster in round 6.